Hey everybody, it's entertaining expert Mark Addison, author of the best in the world winning book Cocktail Chameleon. Today I'm going to show you how to make 3 classic cocktails you can make at home just like the pros. Today I'm going to be using my favorite Chirstofle glassware collection, Graphix. What I love about this elegant and modern crystal collection is that it comes in a wide variety of barware and ones that I use on a regular basis, like the Chirstofle Graphix Martini glass, the Graphix tumbler, and the Graphix double old fashioned. First, we're going to make the classic Bloody Mary. It's brunch's best friend, and honestly, it should be in any host's entertaining arsenal. Today, we're going to be using the Chirstofle tumbler with the stir stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to garnish my glass first. I'm going to take a 1/4 wedge of lime, and I'm going to simply run it around the rim of the glass to gently moisten the edge. And I'm going to take my favorite seasoning mix, and I'm going to dredge my glass in the seasoning mix to fully coat the rim. Give a little tap, get the excess off, and set the glassware aside. I'm going to be using a Boston style shaker set today because it's important not to shake a Bloody Mary because you'll get a big frothy foamy head on the top, which is very unattractive. And what we're going to do is a technique called rolling. So I'm going to start off with my mixing glass, and I'm going to add 2 ounces of a good quality vodka. Today I'm using Chopin potato vodka. I like that it stands up to the meatiness of all the other ingredients in a Bloody Mary. Next, we're going to add 4 ounces of tomato juice. Now, fresh tomato juice isn't something that you'll regularly find, so a good quality canned tomato juice is acceptable. To that, we're going to add a heaping bar spoon of horseradish. Now, a bar spoon is an essential bar tool, but it equates to about a teaspoon, so you can use a teaspoon as well. To that, I'm going to add 3 dashes of Worcestershire sauce. And next, we're going to add a couple of dashes of a green hot sauce. I like the green hot sauce because it has a nice, bright, spicy flavor to it. So next, we're going to add some ice to our glass. And now, time for rolling. So we're going to take the contents of the mixing glass and we're going to simply roll it between the mixing tin and the mixing glass to fully combine all of the ingredients. And then end up with all the ingredients back in our mixing glass. Next, we're going to squeeze the rest of that lime wedge. We're going to squeeze right into the glass. And that'll combine together when we pour it into our prepared glass. So we have our prepared glass here, and we're going to gently pour the entire ingredients in as to not spill it. And then we're going to simply garnish it with a lime wheel. So here we have the classic Bloody Mary. When mixed properly, it'll be the hit of your next brunch. Next, we're going to make a classic martini. And when I say classic martini, I mean a gin martini. If you make your martinis with vodka, you really have to call it a vodka martini, and you're going to want to change up the proportions in the ingredients. So now to serve our classic martini, we're going to be using the Graphix Martini glass, naturally. To shake or to stir? That is the question. I always prefer to shake a martini because you want to chill it down really well, because ultimately you're going to be serving it straight up, which means without ice, and you're going to want it to be really, really well chilled. To start off, we're going to take our mixing glass and fill it with ice. Now, the classic proportions for a classic martini is 5 parts gin to 1 part vermouth. So that means you can scale this up to a pitcher to serve multiple people, but when serving a single serving, it will be 2.5 ounces. There's 2.5 of a good quality gin. Now to that, I'm going to add a 1/2 ounce of a dry vermouth. That's my 5-to-1 ratio. We'll take the contents of our mixing glass and put it into our mixing shaker tin, tap it on the glass to make sure that it's well sealed, and give it a good shake. Now, the rule of thumb in shaking is until your thumb freezes. I'm just kidding. You want to shake it until it's very, very, very cold to the touch. And what I'm doing is I'm breaking up that ice, and the ice is melting, and the liquid, or the water, becomes an integral part or ingredient in the martini. So we'll pour it back into our mixing glass so we can see the frosty cocktail inside. It's all part of the fun of making a cocktail. Put down our cocktail napkin because it's proper presentation. And we are going to use a Hawthorne strainer, and we are going to strain it into our martini glass. That looks frosty and delicious. Now, next to garnish, you can simply add an olive, or you can use some cocktail onions or a twist, and I actually like to add all three. I'm going to take a piece of lemon peel and a Chirstofle dagger style cocktail pick, and I'm going to pierce the skin of the lemon peel. Then I'm going to add a cocktail onion. I'm going to pierce the lemon peel again, and I'm going to add a cocktail olive. And then finally piercing it at the very end to get this sort of S curve in my lemon peel. And then I'm going to simply just put that into my martini glass. And there we have it, the classic martini for those classic cocktail hours. For our next cocktail, we're going to be creating a variation on the classic Manhattan called a Vieux Carre. And in French, that means beautiful square. And to serve our beautiful cocktail, we're going to be using a beautiful Chirstofle Graphix double old fashioned. To mix our Vieux Carre, we're just going to be using a mixing glass. Now, a classic Manhattan proportion is 2 parts whiskey, either rye or bourbon, to 1 part red vermouth. The Vieux Carre introduces cognac, so it'll change to a 1:1:1 ratio. So we'll start by adding ice to our mixing glass. Next, we'll add 1 ounce of cognac, 1 ounce of rye whiskey, and 1 ounce of red vermouth. Now, the secret ingredient in a Vieux Carre is Dom Benedictine, and this is an herbal liqueur that's made up of many different herbs and spices to give this cocktail a really special zing. So I'm going to be adding a 1 bar spoon, which is about a teaspoon, to our cocktail mixture. But what's also really useful about having a bar spoon is we're going to now use it to stir our drink. Next, we're going to add a couple of dashes of Peychaud's bitter, which is a Creole style bitter, and we're going to add 2 dashes of aromatic bitters. And we're going to give that a good stir. Again, so now what we're doing while we're stirring is we're slowly cooling down the mixture here, so not to impart so much water as we would if we were shaking this cocktail. We're giving it a good stir until you feel the glass is amply chilled. And this cocktail is going to be served on the rocks, so you don't have to keep stirring it until it's completely watered down. You certainly don't want that. So now we're going to present our cocktail in our double old fashioned, and we're going to simply just pour the cocktail in, ice and all. So next, to garnish our cocktail, I'm going to use one of these dagger style cocktail picks, and I'm going to stab not 1, not 2, but 3 of these beautiful home brandied cherries to garnish our cocktail, and simply rest it right across the edge of the glass. And there we have the Vieux Carre, a classic Manhattan style cocktail with a twist. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you picked up a few tips on creating these classic cocktails that you can create easily at home, just like the pros. Thanks again for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button down there. Now, stay tuned for what's up next. Cheers.